So tonight we are just going to give you a bit of an overview about our organization, the Walk for Parkinson's information, some of the expectations for volunteers, arrival and check-in information. We'll go over a brief overview of the role descriptions, staff contact information, and then, like I said, we'll hold that Q&A for the end. So the first thing we wanted to do tonight was just talk about our mission and kind of our role within our community. So PSSO enhances the quality of life and care for people living with Parkinson's in Southwestern Ontario. And we are dedicated to providing the most supportive community for those impacted by Parkinson's, whether that is somebody living with Parkinson's or a care partner. Our unwavering goal is to create the very best community, and we really strive to bring a feeling of togetherness and family into the work that we do. So the key focuses of our organization, you can see here in the presentation, programs and services. We have a number of different programs and services across our area, everything from speech and language programs to exercise programs, counseling opportunities, and support groups. We do our events and our fundraising. So we're all here, of course, tonight for the walk. We also run a golf tournament in London. Volunteer engagement is huge. We currently are 4, 5, 6, 7 staff serving a large territory. And so we very much rely on the support of volunteers to help deliver the programs and services. And really, you are the ones that are creating the impact in the community by being our hands and feet on the ground and supporting people. Education and resources. So we provide webinars. We also do conferences and workshops. We have a fall conference coming up in October that we're very much looking forward to. And we also have a number of resources available on our website at psso.ca. That includes everything from booklets to external resources, for example, a Davis Finney booklet, a number of others. And we also have our biannual newsletter that went out recently. Hopefully most of you received it, and our e-blast communication that goes out monthly. Within research, we strive to focus on our graduate student program to ensure that we are investing in the future of Parkinson's disease in terms of research and support. So we actually have an evening coming up as well, where we will award a number of students with grants to be able to work on research projects within Southwestern Ontario. And overall community engagement and awareness. One of our goals is to reach every person living with Parkinson's disease in Southwestern Ontario. And we can't do that without building community awareness and building connections within the community, corporate, and other like-minded community organizations to be able to provide work. So all of the work that you all do in terms of the walk and supporting us goes to supporting all of the work that happens across the region. So this is an example or the map of our service area. So you can see we go from all the way from Windsor up to the tip top of Great Bruce, across to Port Elgin, Goderich, Grand Bend, and over into Guelph, Kitchener-Waterloo, Brantford, Norfolk. So it is an extremely large territory, and we are very happy to be supporting everybody in that area. And I'm going to now leave it to Lynn.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. As Jessica mentioned, I'm the Special Events Coordinator. It's really nice to be able to connect with you all before the event. And for this slide, I just wanted to give you a bit more information about Walk for Parkinson's. So as I'm sure many of you are aware, it's our largest annual fundraising event. It's an inspiring and inclusive event. It's a community-built event, and it brings everyone together for a common goal to raise funds. Of course, also we're raising awareness as well. All the funds that are raised for Walk for Parkinson's stay local within Southwestern Ontario to ensure that we can support people living with Parkinson's disease, and funds go towards those areas that Jessica was talking about in the previous slide. We have 14 walks that are going to be taking place across the region on September 9th and 10th, which is really exciting. And most of all, the event is fun. There's going to be lots going on at each event from us. Some will have raffle or auction. Some have other vendors that will be there as well. Participants are very enthusiastic. They're excited to be there. It's really wonderful to see everyone come out to support their friends and family members. And while you're at the event, we definitely encourage you to take photos while you're there. And of course, you're welcome to tag PSSO on our Facebook or Instagram pages, and you can use our hashtag #WalkForPD. Now we just want to touch on a few general volunteer expectations. So as you are a volunteer, you are an ambassador of PSSO. So we expect that you will conduct yourself in a professional and appropriate manner while you're at the event. you want to get your green guests welcome when they arrive. Everyone's worked really hard to raise money to support PSSO. We want to ensure that everyone feels welcome and appreciated when they arrive. We encourage you to engage with participants at events and answer any questions that they may have to the best of your ability. And if you aren't able to answer a question, feel free to pass that individual on to the staff person or another volunteer at the event. In general, try to avoid using your cell phone while you're at the event, unless of course you're contacting a staff member or one of the other volunteers. That's totally okay. If you do need to break at any point, please connect with the staff person at your event or another volunteer to review you. Now moving on to dress code. Please ensure that you're dressing comfortably for the event and weather appropriate. The event will run rain or shine. Want to make sure that you have comfortable shoes, of course, to walk. So make sure that your shoes are sturdy and comfortable as you will be standing in general for a few hours as well. Many people will be participating on the actual walk as well. So definitely recommend closed-toed shoes if possible. We will be providing volunteers with green t-shirts on the day of the event. And if you do have a volunteer t-shirt from last year, we do encourage that you wear that again this year, as our t-shirts are the same from last year. Now moving on to the arrival and check-in process, we wanted to review a bit of the guidelines on what to expect when you arrive at the event. So we're asking volunteers to arrive an hour and a half before the registration time at your event, and we will be providing that specific time in a separate email. I'm going to be sending out emails to each volunteer team by location, so I'll make sure that that time is communicated in that email to you. When you arrive, please check in at the volunteer table. There you'll sign in, connect with the staff person at your event. So you can pick up your t-shirt and make a name tag for yourself. And once you've done all those things, we'll then assign you to your role for the day, let you provide any additional explanation of your role. And keeping in mind that depending on the event, you may ask to do several roles. So for instance, you may be assigned to set when you arrive, and then you may be assigned to another area at the event later on. And just make sure you are the PSO staff member will be able to sign your hour sheet at the end of the event. So just make sure you're connecting with them at the end of the event before you leave, and they can take care of it for you. So here we have just a sample event-based schedule. I based the timing for this slide off of the London event, but this specific time we'll be providing you with a package that will have your specific event schedule on it. This is just a sample to give you an overview of what to expect. So as I mentioned, you're going to arrive at the venue at an hour and a half before registration time. Then registration will begin, and approximately 15 minutes before the walk, we'll have opening ceremonies. We'll also be doing the warm-up during this time, and then the walk will begin. Now the walk is going to vary. The length is going to vary depending on the location that you're at, but in general, it's probably going to take between 30 to 45 minutes. And after the conclusion of the walk, everyone will again gather at the venue or pavilion, depending on your location. We will serve food if applicable. We will end the raffle or auction at this time, and then at some point, we will also have the closing ceremonies. We'll announce our fundraising totals, thank everyone for attending. We'll also present our check, which will have the total that was raised at your specific location. And then following the closing ceremonies, we'll have the teardown and cleanup of the venue. And in general, you will be making sure that all the supplies are being put back in the boxes that they came in, loading any supplies or signage onto the into the staff person's vehicle as applicable. So now moving on to volunteer roles. I just want to kind of touch on each of the key roles at the event, so you have a better understanding of what you will be asked to do when you arrive. I'm sure many of you, if you have volunteered before, whether at this event or at another event, you'll be familiar. But again, for those that are new, we just want to make sure that you have a general understanding of what to expect when you arrive. And of course, your staff person at the event will provide you with additional guidance and explanation as required, but we just want to give you a general overview today. So to start, setup and tear down. And definitely when you arrive at your venue, it's definitely all hands on deck with regards to setup. So we just ask that volunteers be flexible and willing to help out with the different areas of setup. It's going to depend by venue. Some of the venues, the tables and chairs are already going to be set up when you arrive. Some of the other venues, you maybe need to set up tables or move things around as appropriate. So just be flexible with us, and your staff person will give you more guidance. The next role is event ambassador and greeter. And in general, as you're all volunteers at the event, you're all an event ambassadors, but we will, depending on the size of the event, be assigning certain people to this role to greet people when they arrive. And essentially, you're just going to, as mentioned, greet when they arrive, answer any basic logistical questions, for instance, where the washrooms are located, what the general timing of the event is. And you'll also encourage them to, check out the raffle if there's a raffle, make sure they get their picture taken. We have these fun cardboard photo props that people can take photos with, which are fun. And of course, just ensuring that the other volunteers are supported in their specific venues and assisting them as needed. The next role is route marshal, and certainly this will be applicable to many of you as you'll be participating on the walk. Essentially, as a route marshal, you will be joining the participants during the walk portion of the event. In general, we like to have volunteers kind of at the beginning, some in the middle, and then some at the end of the walk, just to make sure that we have volunteers situated with all of the participants and that they're all being covered. You'll also, cheer on participants as they're walking, encourage them, and of course, thank them for participating in the event. And just keep in mind that some walkers may have limited mobility and walk at a slower pace. So that's why we ask that some volunteers are at the back of the pack so that everyone is supported during the walk. The next volunteer goal is the raffle or auction. And again, this is going to depend on your location. This is only applicable to certain locations, but in general, if you are assigned to this role, you will be organizing the prizes on the table. If it is an auction, you will ensure that the sheets are located on the table with the prizes as well. We will have a cash float, so we'll be able to accept cash payments for the raffle or auction. And if someone doesn't have cash, but they do want to buy raffle tickets or pay for an auction item, then we are able to accept credit card. The staff person at your event will have a Square reader on them. And if someone does need to pay a credit card, just get in contact with the staff person and they'll be able to process that transaction for you. Next, we have food and beverage. And in general, for food and beverage, again, this is going to vary depending on the walk. But I would say in general, most of the walks will have, pizza or some sort of main food item being distributed. And this would happen after participants return from the walk. You will ensure that everything's set up and ready to go, wipe down the table or disinfect surfaces as needed. And of course, when volunteers are lining up to receive the food, ensuring that you are wearing gloves to distribute food items and safely handing out that food to participants. The staff person at your event will be able to provide any additional support where needed for this. And we just want to touch on a few more roles as well. Registration is another important role. This is in general the first point of contact for participants when they arrive at the event. So, ensure that you're greeting guests with a smile and asking if they have any questions. The registration table is where people will drop off any cash or checks if they bring them to the walk. So if you are at the registration table, you will be responsible for collecting the cash and the checks along with their pledge form with the donor information. Essentially, you will take that cash and checks with the pledge forms, put it into an envelope, and write on the front of the envelope the person's name, if they're in a team, and the total amount in the envelope. And we're not going to be counting or verifying money at the event, so you will just be writing the total of the cash and checks on the front of the event and then sealing the envelope. Once this is completed, you will then direct participants to the t-shirt table to grab their t-shirt. And we will have an instruction sheet for those situated at registration, and your staff member will be able to provide you with more specific guidance at the event. And you will have an instruction sheet to follow as well. Next, we have t-shirts. So in general, if you're at the t-shirt table, you'll just be organizing the t-shirts alphabetically and to ensure an easy handout process. If someone did register before July 31st, they did have an option to select a t-shirt size. We have labeled those t-shirts. So if someone has indicated a t-shirt size in advance, then you'll just have to find on the pile and hand that to that individual. We will have a limited amount of extra t-shirts available at each walk, and these will be available on a first come, first served basis. Next, we have the information table, and essentially, if you are situated at this area, we have a number of PSSO brochures and pamphlets which you can set up. And as participants are walking by, encouraging them to take a look at the information that we have available, answering any questions as applicable, or showing them where to find specific information. And finally, we just want to touch on two other components, and these are going to vary by location. So I would say in general, we don't have volunteers situated at parking, but depending on your walk, if it's a larger parking lot, then it might be helpful to have somebody situated at the parking lot or situated somewhere where people are driving in to indicate to them, where to park, indicating if there's any additional spaces or if the lot is full and they need to park somewhere else. And then children's activities, this is going to vary by location. I know that some walks do have specific things going on with regards to children's entertainment or activities, such as face painting or games for the kids to do. But we do have a stock of bubbles. They're little patches of bubbles, so we'll be providing those to all of the walks. So that is something that can be either on a table or handed out to children as they're walking by. So hopefully that wasn't too much information to throw at everybody. I know if you've participated in the event before, a lot of that probably sounded familiar, but hopefully if you are a new volunteer or this is your first time volunteering with PSSO, that kind of gave you more of a general idea of the timing of the day, what to expect when you arrive, and the different roles that the volunteers will be assigned at. As I mentioned, we at the event, we definitely have to be flexible, kind of between different things, depending on how many volunteers we have at the event. So we just appreciate your flexibility and willingness to help out where needed. It's definitely, as I mentioned, kind of an all hands on deck situation at these events, particularly with regards to setup and takedown. So we appreciate everybody's flexibility with regards to that.
Did you put this together, Dylan?
I did, yes.
That's awesome. We could have used that last year, eh? We were both kind of flying by the seat of our pants. All of us were.
For sure, yeah. That's why we wanted to have this session to get everybody a general overview. Now, I will mention that we will be providing each location. We're providing sending out an email to all the volunteers at a specific location. In that email, we'll be providing a volunteer package, which is specific to your location that will indicate staff contact at your event. And their phone number to be reached at. As well, it will provide an overview of the schedule of your event and provide additional information about the volunteer roles that I just discussed. Now, if you do have any questions before the event or you need to report an absence, please contact myself. My email is there, and you all will have received my email notifying you of the session. And if you need to contact my phone, my extension is 208.
Not your personal phone, right?
Yes, if possible in advance, I'm at the office. But on the day, you are welcome to contact the staff person by their phone. We will be providing their phone contact number on the information sheet, so that is no problem on the day of the event. And I think that's all that we have prepared for you. So we just want to take an opportunity to answer any questions that you may have. I will stop sharing my screen so that I can see everybody. And if you have a question, if you can just, if possible, use the raise hand feature. That way we can easily see if you have a question, and then you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay. So as I said, we are maybe two members, we and sometimes they're not saying so we and do so we have also taken over and we have maybe see something with paper. Okay. Thank you. So I'm just to companies when they package all the information or also we next we also we have to do something where he is just something for this session and really I'm actually such an idea that it was for this to have yeah, it's a huge system. And you also have standard after